Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Amandine Flachs and as you may know, I usually host a series of live video stream where I interview early stage startups. So usually people come to my place, we deep dive into their own journey, talk about the startup, play video games and more importantly answer your questions. Well, now due to the current situation, people can't come here, right? Makes sense. So we are tweaking things a bit for the past few weeks. We've been interviewing people involved in the startup ecosystem with fantastic discussions on idea validation, on marketing and PR for startups. And today, I took this opportunity to do a complete remote interview to have not one but two guests, two startup founders, both working and building a brand and a company in the starting not great. CBD, I need to get this right, always invert the letters. In the CBD space, but also building strong B2C brands. So, as usual, we will be taking your questions live. We are right now podcasting on many platforms, including YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, I already said this one, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and I think that's about it. So whatever the platform you're using, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and I'll make sure to pass your question live to our guest. I do have lots of questions planned, so no worries for that. But if you have any questions or if you want to talk about your own project, ask our guest any question, feel free to do so. The video of today will be available later on my YouTube channel, so check it out and why not subscribe to be aware of any future live stream and join future discussions too. So today I am joined by Jasmin and Gala, who are both founders and have a lot to talk about CBD and their own journey. I'm super happy to have both of you today. How are you doing?
Hi everyone.
Good, doing good today. Thank you.
Great. Well, let's start by the beginning. Can you both tell us a bit more about your own background and what you do now, your startup, and just give us an overview of what you're up to. Maybe we can start with you, Gala.
Jasmine can go. It's okay.
Okay, fine.
I'm Jasmin. Thank you, Carla. I'm Jasmin Thomas. I'm the founder of Ohana CBD. We are a functional skincare brand, so we make natural skincare that works, and we utilize the potential therapeutic benefits of CBD and combine that with plant-based actives. So I have been into like clean beauty for essentially the whole of my life. My mum is and my family is very interested in sort of natural alternatives, and I came across CBD through using medical cannabis to treat my autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis, and yeah, that's how I kind of got into the industry and got here today.
Perfect. What about you, Gala?
I'm Galateia Karalouli. I'm from Greece. I'm the founder of Baeys. We are a wellness brand. For now, we have only one product, CBD gummies. Our production stopped because of coronavirus of new products. And I came across CBD while trying to help my mom with her autoimmune disease and with her depression. And yeah, she couldn't smoke and because of her asthma, and she couldn't take oils. She didn't really like it, so we tried to find some alternatives, and we came across edibles.
It's very interesting that for the both of you, what brought you to this space was actually trying to solve a problem that you had, like a physical problem either you or your relatives had. So before we talk further about your businesses, I'd like to maybe put some foundation and address some, the basics of what CBD is, where it comes from. Maybe talk a bit about the properties because you mentioned both trying to solve some illness or some physical problem. So what are the properties, how is it used right now, and where it comes from? Because CBD stands for, it comes from cannabidiol oil, so it's oil derivated from cannabis. So can you tell me more about the different properties and what it is exactly?
Sure. Jasmine, do you want to go?
Well,
No, you
any
can
of
go.
you, up to you.
Well, the thing here is that we are talking about only CBD. People, this is what people know, CBD, but the cannabis plant has over 113 cannabinoids that are actually helpful, and they all work together. There are a lot of studies that they show that CBD helps with depression, anxiety, with your muscles, with autoimmune diseases. It has anti-inflammatory properties, but this is the thing that the studies are only on CBD. Now they're just like trying to study other cannabinoids. The problem here is that people either think it's bullshit. I'm sorry, am I allowed to say that?
Yes, you're allowed to say anything. That's completely fine. We're not on TV, so that's okay.
Okay. Or the other thing is panakia. But it doesn't work like this. And it's very personal. For every person, it's going to work differently. You're going to need different doses. You're going to need different types of taking it. And depending on what you're taking it for, it can either be skincare or edibles or oils.
Okay, so if it's different for everyone, how do people know what would be best for their own condition? Is it by condition or really by how your body reacts to it?
It's how your body actually. If you have eczema, psoriasis, for example, you're gonna need something topical. You're gonna need a balm to soothe it. But yeah, people have to experiment. There's not a rule there. I cannot tell you that, okay, you're gonna start with this and you're gonna take that dosage. And doctors can do that, but this is where we're talking about medicinal cannabis, like Jasmine said before. That's how she came into it.
Okay, I see. Interesting. And do you see, both of you, any misconception? I guess there are many. Everyone, when you talk about CBD and they hear that it comes from cannabis, they think, oh, okay, so this product is going to make you high. And for what I understand, it's a big misconception. Is there any other misconception that you hear a lot into space from people that first, the first thing they say when you tell them, oh, I'm building a CBD brand?
Yeah, I think there's a misconception as well that it's like a cure-all. So just because it works for me, it might not work for somebody else. And you see kind of like in times like now, like through COVID, like the sales of CBD like have shot up quite considerably. And it's like, there is people just kind of like go to it hoping, but without like much knowledge or basis. And I kind of find that a lot of brands and companies in the space as well are not always conveying like quite factual knowledge as well. So I think like a misconception is that it's a cure-all for everything. And also like you were just discussing, it's very different for different people. So what works for me or what dosage works for me might not work for somebody else. So it's a plant-based medicine. So, it's really about working out a dosage as something that's going to work for you personally, and you can only get there through trial and error. However, we have something that's called the endocannabinoid system. Our body is set up with receptors to accept these cannabinoids, and they're going to interact with our body and work in a certain way. So for me, it's like, it's going to be anti-spasm, so it's going to reduce my spasms. For the infancy epilepsy drugs that it's approved for, it's like Dravet syndrome and other drug-resistant epilepsies. So I think it's very it is really good for like a multitude of issues. However, it's definitely not a cure-all for absolutely everybody.
Okay, I'm learning a lot because I don't know anything about it. I mean, I've seen some news and I've read some articles, but mainly about startups in the space and not much about how it works. And I have tried a few products. I've tried a few juice once, but that's about it. I came across a few brands, but don't know much about it. And maybe that's going to be a stupid question, but if CBD is an oil derivated from cannabis, you're both highlighting on your website that you are using vegan CBD oil, and I'm wondering, is there a different level of quality in terms of the oil that you use, and is there non-vegan oil? If it comes from the plant, are some people like mixing it with non-vegan stuff?
So for me, when I reply to vegan, I am replying to the supply chain. So
Okay.
all the ingredients that we use are 100% plant-based. Often in skincare, some of the carriers are actually like meat derived. But for me, like as a vegan, I was always going to have like a vegan supply chain and vegan product. Um, what I think, like first and foremost, it's important just to explain what the endocannabinoid system is, just for people that didn't know what it is and how actually like cannabinoids work with us. So we have something called the endocannabinoid system. It's set up in our bodies, like the immune system, for example. We have two sets of receptors that we most notably talk about and know about, and that is the CB1 receptors. They are located in the brain. So when you consume THC, you will get high and feel those effects. And then you've got CB2 receptors, which CBD attaches itself to, and they are most abundantly located in the immune system as well as in the skin. Hence why CBD topicals work so well, because we have a high concentration on our largest organ, which is the skin, ready to accept and interact with those cannabinoids to produce anti-inflammatory effects. One of my favorite things to talk about is, it's so readily available in our body that actually when a woman is pregnant and then she's breastfeeding, she will have cannabinoids in her breast milk that's actually feeding her child. So it's something that's very, very natural. You can derive cannabinoids from either the cannabis plant or the hemp plant. So that is also two different ways to extract it. As we're in the EU and that's what's legal. I'll speak for the UK because I'm not sure about Portugal, but we use hemp-derived CBD.
Okay.
When it comes to vegan, we're referring mostly to the ingredients we have inside, because to make gummies you need gelatin, which is meat derived. So we are using coconut oil instead. Yes, we are also have our extractions from hemp plant. Actually, our products are produced in the UK, but this is what is legal in the EU in general. Your THC levels have to be under 0.2%.
Okay. Well, I actually had questions about the legal, so that's perfect that you answer that. Someone on LinkedIn, Med, says that when we talked about the different properties, this person said it is very true about depression compromising the immune system, and when dealing with severe grief, it can have a big effect, apparently. And I'm wondering about, we talked about the properties of using CBD products, but when you don't have a condition, is this also a good thing to use such a product, or is it more targeted to a specific condition? Because I feel that I've read also lots of articles about the properties just for calming properties or relaxing. So, for example, with your respective product, is this also something that anyone can use just for taking care of themselves?
Of course, it's like what I used to my parents to understand it, because as you said, it comes from the cannabis plants and everyone is like, oh, it gets you high, it's illegal. It's that it's like taking probiotics or vitamin C every day. As Jasmine said, our body has an endocannabinoid system, and you're feeding that system, you're helping your body's actual reactions.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think that CBD is going to be something that we take as we would any of our multivitamins every day, like you said, a vitamin C or echinacea or whatever it is that you choose to take. It's always trying to get our body into a state of homeostasis. So as we want equilibrium and to be well and operating at our optimum levels, CBD is going to enable that and encourage that. So I think it hopefully sooner rather than later will become an everyday supplement.
Well, I'm taking vitamin C right now already, so I should definitely try out in some ways to integrate such product. Maybe I should try one of your products. Just to get back a bit on the legal aspect. So cannabis is illegal in most countries in Europe, but cannabis oil is legal under certain regulation. What about the more international space? How does this work in an international level in terms of regulation? Is it really country by country? Do you have some kind of regulation within the EU? I think that's what you kind of mentioned, Gala, having a regulation in Europe. Is it really different in the US? I know that for cannabis they have lots of regulation in the US, but I'm not sure about cannabis oil.
It is in a country by country state here, and the same happens in the US. Like, it's state by state. Every state has different laws, and they differ. Like, there are states that they don't even permit CBD in there, but there are states that they permit THC also, like California. But here is in Europe there is a lack of regulation, and cannabis that comes from the hemp plant. CBD that comes from the CBD is legal. That comes from the hemp plant as long as it doesn't have it has less than 0.2% THC. But here, for example, edibles are banned it was banned in 2018 from shops. In Portugal, there was a decriminalization of all drugs in 2001. And suddenly in 2018, because of the novel food regulation in the EU, the CBD edibles were banned from the shops, but it is legal to buy it online from a country if the country that is produced allows edibles. So there's a lot of lack of regulation in Europe in general. You see on big brands with flowers, with cannabis flowers, I think one of the best, in my opinion, and bigger ones in Italy, you see that behind on their packets they have a non-smoking sign. Like, okay, I'm gonna buy the plant, and what am I gonna do with it? There's a lack of regulation. This is a big problem that we hope it's gonna change in the next 2 years.
Does this mean that you both have to be explaining a lot on your respective website, but also be very clear? Because I remember a few months ago I interviewed two founders who are building a sex tech company, and they're building sex toys, and they also told me that basically because of the lack of regulation they wanted to be extremely open and talk about the materials they're using and how they are respectful of your body, because that was something that was super important for them. And because of the lack of regulation, if you don't really educate people and talk about what you're using to make your product, people couldn't really make the difference. Is it the same for you? Do you have to talk a lot about where you get your product or how you produce them on your website and do lots of educational content on that?
Absolutely. For us, we have a blogging page on our website, so we try to be as educational as we can there. With our ingredients as well, we really break them down very, very clearly to understand exactly what each product, each ingredient is, and what the potential therapeutic benefit of that. For me personally, in the skincare space, there are only like 3 or 4 different products in the UK that I can really think of that I know go through really good quality control checks. So when we relaunch our website on in the second week of June, we will launch with all our testing, so everyone can see our third-party testing, which is standard. Then we will also launch with our 12-week stability testing as well, just so people know that our products have definitely gone through that. We have also outsourced all manufacturing to a GMP registered manufacturing site. Everybody knows the products are clean. We have incorporated a special piece of equipment so we can actually measure the exact amount of CBD in each bottle. And that's a big problem as well, because of the regulation. When people have done tests on shelves of what products are, the amount of CBD in the actual product has 70% of the time been incorrect. So for me, that is a really big inconsistency. And as a patient first, it's really important for me that there is consistency, that there is quality, and there is a really important ethical drive behind producing very high functional products. Also in the UK, I'm talking about skincare specifically, is that people use very different types of oil. So people are using oil, isolate, or distillate. And for the UK regulations with skincare, your THC amounts can't be over 1 milligram. So if you're using distillate or oil, it's most likely that it's going to exceed that. So by law, you have to use isolate. But there is no one enforcing these laws. So all the brands are operating very differently. So for us, we like to be as clear and transparent and as open as possible, and probably give the consumer too much information. But that is just to make sure that they are as educated as possible and we are as transparent and operating at a premium level.
I agree with Jasmine. Like the consumers need to be educated more as much as possible and be transparent. This is exactly the reason we have all of those information on our blog, because we want to be transparent and because people need to be educated, because they come with you with questions like, as you said, Amandine, at first, like, is this gonna get me high? Because it's unedible. Also, people think that they're gonna eat it and it's gonna be like the movies. They're gonna get super high. They come with questions like these: will it be on a drug test? Will I have any legal repercussions when it arrives to my house? Things like this. People need to know.
Is there any other specificities about communicating to a mainstream audience about CBD and building a CBD brand? Is there anything else that you find super interesting to talk about your audience, or any way to find them and to grab them wherever the platform they're using?
What was that question? Sorry, I didn't get the beginning of it.
Well, I was just wondering if there are any other specificities about talking to a mainstream audience about CBD and building a brand out of that. Is there any specific ways of talking to them, because you're addressing quite a large audience, or maybe any strategy that works really well to attract customers and to start talking about the topic?
Me and Gala were actually speaking about this before. I co-founded a group called the Entourage Network, which is a platform to engage and empower women into the legal cannabis industry. And this is because we looked at what was happening in the American market, and 2 years prior to legalization, 36% of women held C-suite level positions and above. Throughout legalization, that dipped down, and then 2 years post that dipped down as well. It's recovering slightly, but this is a multi-billion-dollar industry with no historic, kind of like monopoly on it being a male-led industry. So this is a really good opportunity for women to hold really high positions within their organization or other organizations. However, as the industry grows, it's a nascent industry. It's growing so fast all the time. As it grows, we see other industries coming through. So that's like the insurance, the law firms, the accountancies, the investors, which are all male predominantly led industries, which drowns out the women basically. So for me and my co-founder Jessica Steinberg, we basically met at a cannabis co-working space, and we were the only two women in there. So we were like, okay, we're obviously going to be friends. And then we were like, we want to help other women as well. And as we are a couple of years behind what's happening in America, if we implement something now, we can change those statistics through the legalization and through what happens and unfolds over the next couple of years. And that has been a really good way for us to educate consumers and everybody else, and even like business owners and stuff, to really share their skill set. So share for example, like I'm not really good at numbers, and there's like some really good people that they're not good at numbers, so they help me with like financial modeling and forecasting. Or we had a event about branding, we've had an event with lawyers, we've had events about marketing. We had an event the other day, which was actually last week. Actually, that's really bad for my memory, which I can't remember. Oh, it was about raising money. Sorry, it's about raising capital. Okay. Our next event is about cannabis and sexual wellness and women's health. So it's expanding a little bit out of cannabis now, but that's just because, we find it applicable to so many women in general.
Do you also feel the same, Gerla? Because we are quite in different countries. I guess it may be slightly different in Portugal, or do you still also see a really an ecosystem that is quite dominated by male also?
We are operating like all over Europe, and I've been in contact with people. Like I said before we started the call, that I attended one of Jasmine's webinars from her network. I see that and this is how I was interested as besides my helping my mom and finding what she needed. This was another reason that I was interested in this. That is a female dominated space. Like there's a lot of misconception about around cannabis and lack of regulation and all those problems, but it's a female industry right now, and it is that is true. Whatever Justin said is true. Females are there. It's happening now.
That is great to see, and I really hope that women will be able to maintain this position in the space, because I've worked also in very technical industries, completely different spaces, but I've been in emerging technologies where you do have lots of women involved, and then when it grows and when it becomes more mainstream, then suddenly you don't know why, but you only see men talking at events and everything, and you're like, well, it doesn't make sense because there are also lots of women, and even if you feel that there is a 50-50 gender balance, suddenly because it grows fast, you feel that, well, every woman disappeared from public appearance, and that's such a shame. So I hope for your space it will be able to change, and thanks to initiatives like your initiatives, like Jasmine, Cool, and to Rage, I hope that this will really help. Also, you mentioned that there have been a rise in terms of interest from investors and from the public. I think last year we've seen so many publications covering CBD startups, but it was quite sudden, and then it started disappearing. I know from my experience in tech, this kind of things happen sometime when the mainstream audience is excited about a tech, but it's too early for large adoption. The technology itself isn't ready for production or whatever. I'm wondering what happened exactly over the past year, and why were there this sudden interest from the publication, then all the mainstream audience, and suddenly we stopped hearing about any news or anything. I'm sure that the space continued to grow, but what happened? Is there any explanation for that?
I think, like, from my perspective, Brexit took demands on all publications, that everything that was written was related to Brexit. And now obviously it's COVID. I think what happened from what I saw is there was a big buzz last year, at the beginning of the year, and it really continued. The CBD market and the cannabis market in the UK and Europe is largely dictated about what happens in other countries. And what happened in Canada, there was a big bubble, there was massive inflations on valuations, and then that burst, and then a lot of people lost money from their investments in the cannabis space. That was just because the valuations that were happening were very unrealistic, and they were really inflated. It was exactly like what happened with the tech bubble. So we were just seeing like history repeat itself, like you do with all new markets, basically. And now that's leveled down. So it's still a really exciting place to invest. It's still a really, fast-growing industry. It's all still happening, but the unrealistic buzz and kind of some of the unrealistic valuations that companies were going for last year has definitely calmed down a bit, which I personally think is a good thing, because a lot of it was just unrealistic, and companies were going for crazy multiples, and there wasn't much sense behind it. But if you're leading and establishing a new market, it's better to do that in a responsible manner.
Yeah, completely agree. And well, that's great to see that lots of startups continue to rise, even if we don't hear about anything from mainstream publication. Do you see the same, Gala, or something different?
I agree with what Jasmine said, especially right now with COVID. It was super hard for us to find publications to be interested in something like this. Everything is, and the only way you can, let's say, capitalize on this is saying, oh, this is how CBD can help you with the COVID-19 anxiety, which I didn't want to tap into it. We tried to, when all this came crashing down, we tried to be a little bit more sensitive to people that lost family, that lost their jobs, And this is why we were happy to be in a place we launched an initiative last month in April. We were donating 50% of every sale to the Red Cross. Yes. And we were happy to be in that position to do that and be able to help somehow.
I saw that on your LinkedIn, and I really loved, just the fact that you're talking about it, but not emphasizing this too much on your communication, be just like, oh, look at us, we're doing something, and not taking too much credit or too much, highlights for that. Before talking further about the effect of COVID-19 on your business, can you both tell me just quickly, when did you fund in the company, the size of the team, if you have been bootstrapping or getting an external investment, just so everyone get the foundation of your stage right now and a better idea of the structure and the size of your company. So when we talk about the effect of the COVID-19 on your business, we have a better understanding on what's going on behind the scene.
Jasmin, please go first.
So the structure. So I actually registered this business in October 2016, and then I didn't do anything with it for 2 years. I was kind of like making products myself and selling them to family and friends, and then then what did we do in 2018? We thought, okay, we've done a tester. So we've gone out to shops, we've sold some products, we sold about £15,000 worth of product in 7 months, and then used that data to really decide on what avenue we were going to go in. So we then did a small round of funding to outsource the production and to the formulations, etc., to make sure that they were all really great quality and as premium as I wanted them to be. And then we are relaunching our products in June, so in 6 weeks. And I think it's been a surprise for me to really see how long it has actually taken to get a really high functioning quality skincare product to market. My NPD, new product development specialist, did warn me. She goes, this is going to take 12 to 14 months. And I was like, no way, we can do it in 7 months. It's going to be fine. And we absolutely couldn't. To create the quality and the efficacy that we needed, we did really need to take time in it. And there's been a lot of thoughts of, we're not only CBD skincare, it's also, we are functional skincare. For me, when I was looking at how to treat my illness, it wasn't only looking at things like using cannabis and using CBD. I had to look at my diet, my lifestyle, what skincare products I was making, and really address the potential hormone disruptors that I was, increasing the load in my body through my skincare application every day. So, it was a multitude of reasons as to why we chose skincare and why that was important, in a reflection of my personal journey and my personal story. We have 5 people on board at the moment. So it's me, my business partner. We have an operations freelance person. We have a content writer freelance person. We have a head of community, who's Jessica, who also co-founded Entourage with me, who's our head of community and is also studying a PhD at Oxford on the sociological impacts of the legalization of cannabis. So she's very deep rooted in the industry as well.
Perfect. That's great to hear. What about you, Gala?
Well, a little bit over a year ago, I finally, as I told you before, convinced my mom to try CBD because she didn't want to try medication, which I understand. And her mental health was taking a toll on her, and it was making her psoriasis and her eczema flare up. So she finally said yes. I was in Asia, and so I ordered something for her at the house, and she didn't really like the oil. She's a teacher. She couldn't take it with her. She wasn't feeling comfortable taking it with her at school, so she can take it whenever she wanted. She didn't like the taste. She was confused with the dosage. And so I tried finding some edibles, some gummies, and with the help of some friends in the States, I ordered something from there, which took forever to arrive. Getting like customs, paying extra taxes, blah, blah, blah. So the moment my partner and I came back from Asia, we started researching. We went to the Cannabis Expo in Barcelona. And, it took some time. I think it was mostly because of the moving and trying to find a house, and also trying to start something new that we were new into this. We knew everything, and we had saved some money, and it took us a while to find the manufacturer that we wanted, because we weren't looking for just a manufacturer. We're looking for a partner. We're looking for someone that we can trust, that what we're getting is what we want, what we would get. Like, we don't want to sell something that we wouldn't consume. So, we officially launched in January.
Okay. So earlier for you, it's still early days, right? And then COVID-19. So it must be quite hard, especially right now with the current situation. Do you feel that there are lots of changes in terms of your customers' behavior? I know that some people are very careful about the spending, so they cut any unnecessary spending, while other people are actually increasing kind of opportunity spending, where you want to try something new because you're stuck at home and you spend lots of time browsing online shops, and you want to try new things to just divert yourself and think about something else.
Yeah, at first we said, okay, we're fucked. Nobody's gonna try new products. Nobody, people have actual problems right now. But as Jasmin said before, people during COVID-19 are trying to find something else, to invest on their wellness, they have time, as you said, and they are spending more time researching, and they're spending more money. And that was good for us, but the problem it was that our production for new products stopped. So we couldn't deliver what we wanted exactly to our clients.
Okay. But the demand was here. The demand has increased.
Yes,
it was more into the production. Okay.
Yes.
What about for you, Jasmin, in terms of your customers' habit? Have you seen any changes?
We are pre-launch, so we're not actually live yet with
Okay.
any products. However, we have seen an increase in engagement across our socials, and just from a beauty perspective as well, as people still want to really invest in their skincare and look after themselves at home. Obviously, we're going through a pandemic and a bit of economic crisis at the moment, but beauty throughout that has always remained quite stable. So it's not something that really worries me that much at the moment, but obviously it will impact our launch and our launch numbers slightly.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you are launching or relaunching in June, so it's coming really fast. Did the situation, did the COVID-19 change the way that you're planning your launch, or are you just sticking to your initial plan?
No, so we are very community driven, and we do a lot of events. So this is good because people in different locations can attend our events now, but our events are very in person, very personable. We normally do our entourage meetups in person, so, and our Ohana events in person as well. So that has been quite difficult. We were lucky enough to get our International Women's Day event before this happened. So that was really great. We had 180 women come together that day to celebrate all things women in wellness. And now we're obviously having to move that online, which does have its implications. However, we're lucky enough that our manufacturer makes hand sanitizer, for example. So there's been no problem with production there. Our labels provide our label provider does manufacturing for the NHS, so they're still open. So a lot of the supply chain for us is actually still open. Even this week, I wanted to get some postcards printed and some boxes and stuff like that, and it was all it was also able to happen. So yeah, supply chain in that has not been impacted as of yet.
Good for you then. I can't wait for
Very
your launch.
lucky.
Yes.
Very lucky.
And I really can't wait for your launch. I want to try out. So good luck for that. It's coming fast, so I guess you maybe just be focusing on that right now.
Yeah, we are accepting like pre-registrations and waiting lists. So we have a waiting list for all of our products. So our website is www.ohana-cbd.com, and we're launching with 3 products. So it's a all-in-one Wonder Balm. We have a daily defense serum. So that is designed particularly for people who live in cities and combating
Yes.
everyday pollution
Oh, I
problems.
get that completely.
Yeah, and we have a night oil where we use a plant-derived version of retinol, so you don't have to necessarily wear SPF or get retinal dermatitis. And it's a high vitamin A product. So yeah, that's what we're launching. So you can go choose one of those and register for which one you feel calls you the most.
I love it already. Myself using lots of oil. I really love using oils for my skin. So perfect. I'm already
As
convinced.
you can see, I look probably quite shiny right now under this light.
That's okay. What about you, Gala? Did the situation change the way you're approaching your strategy, either to approach your customers or the way you're communicating? You mentioned that you're already giving part of your sales revenue to the Red Cross. Have you changed anything else apart from that in your strategy and communication?
Not really. We just tried to be a little bit more quiet because we didn't want to be disrespectful to anyone. And as I said before, we didn't want to capitalize on the situation, but it was pretty much the same. Yeah.
And do you expect any changes after the lockdown once things go more or less back to normal? I don't even know. There are lots of discussion about is it really going to get back to normal or will there be any effect? But what do you think will be the differences after all this for your own businesses and for the industry in general?
I think people are gonna keep being interested in CBD. Maybe that situation gives us also a boost, let's say. There's a spike in searches for CBD and anxiety. So maybe people are even going to be more educated and more interested.
What about you, Jasmine? Do you think there will be any effect on the long term, or do you have any expectations?
I think it's too hard to say. I think potentially it might lead to legalization quicker because our economies will need a greater input, and obviously we know that tax from cannabis sales is huge, so that could potentially push forward legalization. And then also I just kind of think like we're going through a time where people are exploring a lot of unknown drugs to try and treat it, and they're kind of like trying this and trying that, and it's kind of like if they have that application to other pharmaceutical drugs, then they can potentially adopt that train of thought to cannabis-based drugs as well. But I think it's a health implication on the economy, so it's less. I hope it will be less severe than like a 2008 2009 situation. But then I also think it's too early to tell. If we came out of lockdown in June and then that was it, then I'd be confident that everything goes back to normal. But we don't know about second waves yet, or what's going to happen, and even just the implications of more people working from home, so less traveling. I just think it's such a time of uncertainty that any predictions that I would make at this point would be complete guessing work into the abyss.
Yes, and everyone is trying to discuss that right now. Most big discussions and startup meetings online and webinars are talking about that, and no one really knows. Everyone is trying to see, and I try to really remain positive because I think entrepreneurs have this mindset. I may be rambling and saying that all the time, but I really believe that entrepreneurs have this mindset where they try to make the most of the situation, and new startup will rise, people will adapt and will have a more robust strategy or a more robust approach outside, like once this entire situation is over. And I really hope that, well, lots of positive stuff will happen. Before...
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I'm very positive. I'm like, it's always going to be fine. And like, people are like, why aren't you stressed out? And I'm just like, if I was like crazy enough to go into this industry and start a business, it's because I'm like overly optimistic, and that continues to travel through to current circumstances.
That's great. I'm not an optimistic person. I'm actually not pessimist, but I try to stay down to earth all the time. And I think lots of people think I am quite pessimist, but I'm not really. But I really believe in the people, because I've met so many entrepreneurs in my life that I know that something good is must happen. And it's not about being optimistic or not. It's more about believing in the people first.
Yeah.
Before I ask you about my next question, I'd like to invite everyone on the chat to ask the question if they have any questions for you, because I think it's a great opportunity. And as we talked earlier, lots of people have misconception about the space or just CBD itself. So if anyone wants to jump into the discussion, whatever the platform you're using, feel free to leave a message in the chat and ask us anything. So now, I have some questions that I ask all my guests, especially when they come over, and I'd be really curious to hear from your experience. So you are both at different stages of your company and have been through different challenges. So what has been the most challenging thing for you over this experience, this adventure of building your brand? Maybe you can start with you, Jasmin.
I would say like raising capital has been very difficult. That's been challenging. Like I was mentioning before, what's happening in Canada, it's very dictated by like the outside market. Being a female founder has its limitations, and just generally raising in a space where you have to basically explain. You're not just selling to your investor, you're actually doing like a whole education point behind it as well. So it's like, you'll get like a regular consumer goods investor, but they don't know what CBD is and they don't understand it. So as well as going through your deck or your pitch, you have to start way before that and actually start with the education piece, which has been challenging and time consuming. But I would say that, yeah, education around CBD is the number one like challenge. Like for me personally in skincare, CBD is a greater antioxidant than vitamin E and vitamin C, so it's a really, really powerful active in skincare. It's obviously really great for anti-inflammatory, but you can't make medicinal claims. So although it might have therapeutic benefits for psoriasis and eczema and dermatitis or rosacea, all these skin ailments, we cannot make claims against that. Like for example, we put up a blog the other day just talking about the potential benefits of using CBD in skincare, not necessarily for ours, but in general, the effects that has on psoriasis. And straight away, the MHRA emailed us and was like, "Why have you got this up on your website? Take it down."
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay." And even where I talk about my story, I am saying explicitly in my story that I don't use any pharmaceuticals. I rely solely on CBD to treat my MS. And even that is they see it as making a medicinal claim, so it's very, very hard. So really it's around like and obviously we can't do paid advertising on social media, so you have to be organically grown. So it's a very challenging industry to like build a company in, which is why most people that come into it from a passion and a place of love, where it has affected themselves or a loved one or a relative, because you have to have very, very thick skin to really be able to sit tight and wait and to grow your company very organically, whilst having the hard job of educating. We're very, very early on in this industry, so that's kind of some of the pain points that come with it.
Yeah, exactly. not being able to advertise on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, it's hard. All of the new skincare and beauty and supplements companies right now, they do advertise, but we can't.
Why can't they, and why can't you if they can? I mean, you mean due to who are not using CBD, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
if you're a big brand and you're using in some way CBD, you still can't advertise, right?
Um,
They
there
can, they go on. Like I said, they can still advertise, but as soon as they realize that it's a CBD product, then it will have some implications for them. Like, we have CBD in the title of our name, so there was no way we could ever go about that. I have seen from other companies that don't necessarily have CBD in their title that they have been able to overcome those challenges, but it is because federally it's always been illegal in America. So until the hemp bill was revised, etc. And we're running on American tech platforms, so they come under the Misuse of Drugs Act. So that's why we can't use it. You can actually use it on Snapchat. Snapchat does allow it now. So you can do it on Snapchat if you want. Just to do. I haven't actually tried it, but I know you can because someone showed me how to do it the other day, and they do accept it. But with Facebook and with Instagram, that's obviously just not allowed.
Yeah.
But it's also like, why a lot of stores don't. We also have the challenge of like different payment accounts and merchant accounts and like the back end stuff to actually payment process. If you're running on like Shopify or something, you can't just use Stripe. It takes longer to open up it took me 3 months to open up my business bank account.
Wow.
There's all these when you said challenges, I actually thought, oh, what challenges are there? Like, has there, now I'm thinking about it, there's been a lot. There's all these multiple challenges that come into place. And so Whole Foods, for example, they're owned by Amazon. They don't stock CBD because that will interrupt with their payment processes, etc.
Yeah.
So we have seen some leaders, I speak from a UK perspective, with Planet Organic, with Holland Barrett, etc., that has allowed that. But that is ultimately where the pain points and challenges come from, and that's the main reasons behind it.
And in terms of the more positive stuff, have you seen or have you been benefiting from anything that has been super useful to you? I think, Jasmine, you mentioned the fact that you're based in a co-working space where there are only, or you used to be based in a co-working space with only CBD companies. What about for you, Gala? Do you also see lots of community or things that have been super helpful for you building the company in the ecosystem?
I have to be honest, not really.
Okay.
Also, because I've been moving around a lot the past 3 years, I don't have. I don't know that many people in a community. Like Jasmine said, okay, we were at the co-working and we met, and that was it. I've been moving around a lot, and I was before in Southeast Asia in countries that, when I got the idea, I was in countries that CBD isn't even legal. So yes, not really. I've been trying to communicate more because I feel like this is a space because it's women dominated. I feel that this is a safe space and people are not they don't feel competitive. People are trying to help each other, and I've been trying to connect more with and make a network that people could help each other.
Great. The power of communities is something I always advocate for, and I'm biased because I'm based in the UK, and when I moved here, I just embraced the idea of communities, and it didn't really existed for me before that. But yes, 100% for that. Jasmine, apart from the co-working space, is there anything else that you found very useful in the space? Any programs or anything that you've been involved in?
Yeah, of course, like first and foremost, Entourage Network. We've built a really good community of almost 3,000 women globally, that are all have interest or working in this space. So I have found that very helpful. And then also we have something called First Wednesdays in the UK as well. It's run by a group called Hanway Associates. That is extremely helpful, and really good for networking. So we literally have an event that once a month where the community, a minimum once a month where the community comes together. And that's kind of like where I've, and then also like Gala said, is like attending festivals and different expos like Cannabis, or like, you know, going to things in Barcelona or Berlin or Prague, and then yeah, just traveling around to meet those people.
Fantastic. Well, I took note of the few, of the first Wednesday, and I'll make sure to put the link to Entourage in the description of the video as soon as it will be up on my YouTube channel. Just to wrap it up, thank you very much for both of you for your experience and sharing your story. I really love it. Where can we find more information about what you do? So you both have a website. Do you have also blogs? Is there any specific platform that you're super active on? What's the best way to follow your updates?
We have a blog on our website, and we are on social media: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I would say mostly Instagram, and you can find a lot of information on our blog. So.
Okay, great. What's the? Can you just give us the name of your website so we can find it easy? And
Yes.
I don't want to misspell it, so I don't do it for you.
Yes, it's baeys.com, baeys.com.
Fantastic. What about for you, Jasmin?
So our website is ohana-cbd.com. There you can find all our community pieces. So there's community tab that lists all the events and online webinars that we have coming up and that we have going on. The Learn tab is for the blog and all the educational content. And then obviously we have the shop tab to shop all our products and to register for the waiting list. We are Ohana CBD on Instagram, where we always post everything. So, for example, we have a community-led yin yoga happening on Sunday, so we have all the details there for that. And we'll also tag our entourage stuff. Our entourage handle on Instagram is entourage. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Mm-hmm. Entourage Network LDN on Instagram as well, and that's the same for our website. So if you do want to get notifications about the events that we have happening for Entourage Network, and to join a community and space for predominantly for women in Europe, that's there. And then we also post all our blogs on Medium as well. You know, we have some really great playlists on Spotify, and we also have a Pinterest space as well, just because we love photos and tagging our kind of aesthetic looks.
Fantastic. Well, I'll check out all your channel. I think I stopped by a few, but I will definitely dive more into this and register for your upcoming product launch this June, because that sounds super exciting. Everyone, please check out their channel and the different website, because that's super interesting topic and that's a growing space. So I think that's about it for today. I would like to thank you, both of you, for joining me. That was super interesting. I really loved the discussion. I'm going to stay a few minutes on the stream to chat with everyone and, you know, have kind of wrap up and just have a nice catch up with everyone. But thanks to both of you. I'm also going to have a quick break of 1 minute or two, but I'll be back in a second, so don't go anywhere, everyone. Thanks, Jasmin. Thanks, Gala. It was a lovely really getting to know you and know more about your business. Please do keep me updated on your progress, and I'd love to you know, keep in touch and potentially have you on the stream one day in the future. Maybe for the usual stream where we actually play video games and have people coming here, you know, have fun and everything. But thanks to both of you. I wish you a fantastic weekend ahead, and stay safe and take care.
Thank you so much, Gala. It was lovely to connect with you as well. I look forward to hopefully meeting you one day in real life and trying out your products. And thank you so much for having me on here today.
Thank you
for having us, Amandine. Jasmin, it was so nice to meet you finally.
Thanks, Gala.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.